Mochy is widely considered the greatest backgammon player in the world. He's been a super grandmaster for many years, and until recently was the only one. This is something that is determined by an AI, which analyzes how perfectly a player plays. And indeed, he barely makes any mistakes and can play godlike, basically, for days on end. He's also very approachable and a friendly person, and I had the pleasure of meeting him at the World Championships in Monte Carlo in 2023. And he even taught me some fun games and exercises. We played backgammon where all the pieces were the same color, and you had to remember which ones were yours, which was quite fun. I taught him how to play Cheese Thief, which is a fun and silly game. And yeah, he's just full of wisdom. And what's really great about him is he's very direct and speaks his mind. He doesn't sugarcoat things, and you can just learn from him so quickly. So I hope you enjoy this interview and get a taste for just how much he loves learning and playing games. It's great to be here with you, Mochy. And yeah, I just want to say that I'm a huge fan, and you've inspired so many backgammon players all over the world. And it's a treat to get to chat with you today.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I'm also very excited to be here, and I'm anxious to hear what you're gonna say.
Well, don't worry. It's all good stuff, I believe. Well, let's see. Let's start first. Right now, are you in Japan at the moment?
I'm in Tokyo right now.
Cool, because that's where you live. But you travel a lot, right? Like your life, it sounds like it's very nomadic.
That's true. I am traveling at least 100 days a year, maybe even more. I don't even count, But yeah, I'm playing. Generally, I play like 10 tournaments a year or something. So it's approximately 100 days, I think.
How is it? Because you've got a family as well. How is it juggling all that travel and work with family?
Well, I don't know. It just as it goes, my family get used to it. In the beginning, my children cries because I'm gonna leave, but now it's like, okay, bye, like kind of thing, And my wife doesn't even know where I am, Okay, are you in Las Vegas or you in Monte Carlo? Oh, you're in Denmark. Okay, good luck, whatever.
That's funny. That's cool. How old are your kids?
I have three. The oldest one is 12, 9, and 5.
Cool. And are they interested in games as well?
Oh yeah, I play game like I'm trying to play game every day, basically.
Oh, okay, cool.
Mhm.
Backgammon or other games as well,
No,
or
never be backgammon. Sometimes, but
sure.
not too often. Yeah, I play, like board games and card games. I have like a bunch of games, maybe 20.
But what are some of the family favorites?
Well, currently we are playing Love Letter. Do you know the game Love
Oh
Letter?
yeah, it's very cute. It's a bit of bluffing. It's very nice. Very simple game, very quick rounds as well. Card
Yeah,
game.
yeah. And today we want to play State of Current for the first time. So the difficulty is that I want to find the games that everybody can enjoy. It's sometimes difficult because the youngest one is 5 years old,
Oh wow.
and Catan I don't think he can play, but he can play with mom. So
Yeah,
that's
that's right.
okay too. But Love Letter he
Absolutely.
can play by himself.
Wow. So if your 5-year-old's playing Leveler is a very fun, quick game. It's
Yeah.
great. Wow, that's very impressive. Well, I'm sure the future bodes well for them. Do you want any of them to follow in your footsteps into like professional backgammon?
No, not really.
Okay, those are also big shoes to fill as well. I mean, being uh, considered the best backgammon player in the world, it's one heck of an achievement. So
I mean, it's gonna be very different from 10 years from now. The profession of the backend player should be definition should be different from now because of the AI. And the one thing that I predict is that because of the quick development of the AI, the what left for the human is enjoy, play, like art or creative and stuff like that. and the game is one of them, and maybe art and creativity is the others, I think.
So
So
hold on. So let me just unpack that.
Yeah,
You mean for society in general, you
yeah,
believe that
yeah.
not just for backgammon, we're talking about the world.
In
We're saying
general,
yeah, you're
yeah,
saying
like people currently working on, maybe some stuff like moving things from A to B, telling people that, or email and paperwork and stuff like that can be, you know, um, done by AI. So we have a huge amount of time to spend. I think, I
yeah.
hope. And
Well,
what's left for human is enjoy, but if you don't know how to enjoy the time, you don't want to, kill your time, right? You want to spend in a good thing, like enjoyable things, right? So the
absolutely.
game is one of them, differently. And I don't know, but I can't predict, but art, music, you know is things that human can enjoy their time, I think.
I agree 100%. And I mean,
Yeah.
Bernard Suits. Have you heard of Bernard Suits?
No.
He was a games philosopher. Uh,
Uh-huh.
and he wrote a book called The Grasshopper, which it's a sort of philosophy book,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a dialogue between like a grasshopper and an ant, and the ants are hardworking, and the grasshopper is lazy, uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he tries to, explain in the book. Well, and this is also Bernard Suits' theory that he thinks in a utopian society, which is what the future holds. Hopefully, if they, first of all, let's survive and let's have harmony in the world and get there. But if we do, then he says, yeah, you're going to have games kind of being a big thing, basically. Where and he defines a game. It's hard to define a game. Wittgenstein failed with his attempt, but he says a game is the voluntary attempt to overcome unnecessary obstacles. Uh, and this is the thing. We like challenges. And in golf we decide to use
Interesting.
some silly metal stick, to try and move the ball, and we make it hard, and that's what makes it interesting. And yes, he says that's going to be a big part of the future. So I mean, I think I hope you're right, and I certainly think that there's tremendous value in games. And so you think that's good. You think there's going to be a lot more people playing lots of games, and obviously art and creativity. Yeah, that's a huge part of it. I mean, also, during COVID, people had lots of time when they're in
Mm-hmm.
lockdown, and they baked
Mm-hmm.
sourdough, which that wasn't
Mm-hmm.
a game, but there was another thing that people just need things to do, right? Like when they have time to spend. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, no, I love that. That's cool. So so you think, and do you think backgammon will be? I mean, because that's a trend thing. It's hard to tell. People will play games, but will backgammon be will it grow again, or will it be other games, or yeah?
Well, I think Backgammon can be evolved. It could be changed. You combined with arts or music. For example, one of my friend who is good at music, right? He said that he wants to create a backgammon board or with like 12, 24 different keys, right? So if
Mhm.
you click like, then it sounds like different, noise or different sounds, there can be a melody, and
Yeah.
I kind of like it. And it could be, maybe if you make a point, you can get a bonus, maybe, like some colors, like lighting stuff. I don't know. But
Ooh.
the when in Middle East people play with wooden board with dice, and
Yeah.
the sound is so, I say, I don't know, when I walk down in the street of Istanbul, I can hear the sound, and this is like relaxing for me, and the backgammon can be combined with art, and the game is already combined with for example, do you? Of course, the game. I forgot the name, but the Pixar, or like you have to,
Dixit.
not Dixit. That you have to draw the pictures, and you have the your same group, people
Ah,
in the same group have to,
Pictionary.
yeah, Pictionary, yeah, that is combined with art, I think, and
Yeah.
a lot of things game can be competition, but can be, used as art or like drawing or music. I don't know,
I
many.
love it. I love it. I know it's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like, synesthesia and like a Candy Crush cross of like backgammon, and you're saying all these things. It sounds super cool. Yeah, there's so much room for experimentation, and yeah, you're right. I mean, I love also the sound sometimes that you hear with the right materials and backgammon, and also just the experience of it. Because I think kind of like shaking the dice, it's quite a nice thing, because like I
Hmm.
tried using a dice tower in a few
Uh-huh.
tournaments, which was cool, but you lose that shaking is very special. I find like
Hmm.
it's also a way to kind of get rid of like excess kind of nervous energy. And yeah, I don't know, what do you have an opinion on shaking the dice versus dice towers?
Well, I'm happy with both, but I personally prefer shaking the dice, and I think this. I don't know, like when I teach backgammon to my kids, right? They naturally like to roll the dice. It comes from the nature of the human. They like activity. They like it. They like the rolling the dice, whatever the roll is, and also the superstition. My boy, when he was like 5 years old, he said to me that if you roll the dice like slowly, you get like small dice, like one or two. And I was shocked because I never teach him like that. Of course, I'm a professional backend player, so I
Yeah.
don't believe God. I don't believe, luck and stuff, but he, all of a
you, you,
sudden,
you
where did you learn things,
yeah.
So I think this is like a human nature. You develop your own superstitious for some
Yeah.
reason. I don't know where it come from. I never teach my mother, my mom, sorry, my wife never teach him, for sure. So I was shocked.
So you don't believe at all in luck or things like that, because I
not
understand.
not
Sorry, go
Not
ahead.
all. I mean, obviously, I feel comfortable when I have some routine. I know
Yeah,
it doesn't matter, but there's no downside to believing it too. Like
yeah,
if you're kind to other people, maybe you get better luck.
yeah,
And
yeah.
there's no downside to believe that, right? And
Absolutely. It's like
yeah, if you surrounded by like a good vibe, maybe you can feel better, and maybe you can you can find a better play. I don't know, but I can believe shit like this. But generally speaking, if you do things, you get better dice. It doesn't happen.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, sure. That I understand. That I get totally. What
yeah,
about
yeah.
what are your rituals then for like kind of grounding yourself and getting into that? I guess I don't know, feeling better. Can you share any of those like rituals or routines?
Uh, I I don't really come up with right now, but I must have a few. When it comes, I remember, but I don't have
Okay,
things
but
to
there's no
share
there's
with
no there's no like lucky underwear or anything like that, like
No, not really. I don't think so.
or
Yeah.
like
Uh,
Michael Jordan, he sometimes would wear something particular, and yeah, athletes have a lot of rituals. So,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, but no, that's cool. Okay, so a professional gambler. So, but do you think, I guess I don't know, in this future where people, I guess, are playing games more for fun, do you think you think gambling will be less of a profession because people won't have to work? Is that what you're saying? Because I think that's a or I don't know what are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
Well, you think of the game. So backgammon is ends win or lose, right? And so people focus too much on the outcome, right? Of course, I am too. Sometimes you win money, sometimes you lose money because of the result, right? But think like imaginary thinking, that think of the backgammon without result. you know can you still have fun? Then
Yeah,
the game can be very different, right? um we I forgot, but if there is a creature in the Mars, they can play the game without the result, and that's just fun. And if you play like card games, love letter, there's a result. but you can still enjoy the process even if you lose. You can laugh at yourself by stupid thing, or you do things that that you lose, but it's fun. And the backgammon can be evolved in that direction, I think, because UBC or professional backgammon is too tough. Like difference between top players are like tiny. And I don't think I don't want to ask people to follow to be grandmasters and super grandmasters and try to find like a midpoint difference. Instead we want people to enjoy themselves, right? I don't know, but I don't know how, but I think backgammon should be evolved in that way, I think.
Well, first, I want to say, I like that approach, and you're very playful. I remember when we hung out in Monte Carlo last year, you taught me backgammon where all the pieces were the same color, and you had to kind of remember, who you are, and we played, and it was great. So you added like a memory, factor to it, which was very playful. And I really enjoyed it. I was surprised that it was actually not that difficult to do it if you pay attention. And there are so many ways to play. I mean, okay, so you're talking about AI now, and let's get into it for a second. But basically, yeah, you mentioned this idea of a grandmaster, super grandmaster. For listeners who don't know what that means, let me just kind of explain for a sec. Because in chess, in order to achieve a grandmaster title or a master title, you have ELO ratings, which are based on how you do against opponents. And then if you win, your rating goes up, and you have to get above a certain rating to be a master, and so on and so forth. In backgammon, it's very different in that, I guess, I'm not sure how long, I guess at least a decade now, the way it works is your game is recorded and then fed to an AI called XG, that stands for Extreme Gammon. And then XG looks at your games, and even if you lost all your games, could be a lot of games, it could still say, oh, you played the best you could. You may have had bad luck, because there is luck, but you played the best, and therefore it's going to give you a performance rating of a master or a grandmaster, and which is very interesting. It tries to take out the luck and kind of evaluate you in a fair way. It's a very interesting thing. It's a strange thing, because I don't know of any other competitive event that your master titles are achieved through an AI kind of saying this is what you are, which is, I think that's fascinating. It's and very strange as well. And you have won the UBC, which is the Ultimate Backgammon Championship, which also you get a point not just for winning the game, but also for having playing better according to the AI. So you mentioned Super Grandmaster. So okay, I'm talking a lot, but there's only 2 Super Grandmasters in the world, and I believe, and you were there first. So explain, what does it mean to be a Super Grandmaster, I guess?
To be a super grandmaster, you have to play error rate below 2.5. So the lower the number is, the better you are, and 2.5 is pretty low. And if you play below 10, you're like way better than average people. And and if you play below 4, you are called grandmaster. I think we are about 100 grandmasters right now. And we have a ranking for the error rate. And I am maybe top. I'm number 2 now, but I used to be number 1. Recently catched up by a guy called Dirk Schiemann, who is very strong. He's a grandmaster, super grandmaster as well. And but don't get me wrong, those rankings actually represents the real ranking of the tournament as well. If you pick up players from top 10, they are winning all over the world anyway. So it's like strong relationship between the results and match. The result of the actual tournament and ranking of the grandmasters.
So
So
basically,
it's not bullshit. If you are ranked high in the BMAB, then you are also like high chance to win the real tournament as well.
yeah. So basically, yeah, the AI's ratings, and we can get into that, seem to be quite good predictors of success, as you say. There's a high
Yeah.
correlation. Well, this is where it gets interesting, and maybe let's go into a little bit of maybe perhaps controversial, I don't know, territory. It's interesting because XG is an AI that's been around for quite some time, and we all, a lot of people know that it's not perfect,
Mm-hmm.
and there are some, there are certain blind spots it has, but there's a question, and I've talked to several people. I'd love to hear what you think as to just how bad could it be. So if it were to play against God, and God were to give XG, a PR rating, you mentioned
Mm-hmm.
these PR ratings. What, yeah, what kind of, what do you think the PR rating could be? How big could the window be?
It could be, between like 0.5 to 1.5, in my opinion. I don't know for sure, but I don't believe that Extreme Gam plays over 2. You know what I mean? It's pretty good. Of course, people like to criticize small mistake Extreme Gammon could make, especially in the back game. But those are very rare. And on average, Extreme Gammon is extremely strong. For beginners, I would just tell them that you should just, believe what Extreme Gammon says, um, because that's so strong, you can just imitate what Extreme Gammon does, and you automatically improve your game, basically.
Oh, definitely. I mean, for beginners, there's no doubt. But even if you played at a 3, beginners could still learn a lot from it, right? So it doesn't matter. But if you say it's interesting, but if you say till 1.5, or even if you said it's probably not over 2, but if it was a 2, let's say, or even a
Uh-huh.
1.5, then the idea that that it can judge, as you say, humans playing close to that level seems a little, as you say, it would be a little arbitrary, right? Because if it's a 1.5 and you're playing under 2.5, you're getting close, then maybe when it thinks you're making a mistake, it might be wrong, because the AI isn't perfect, right?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that there will be a limit for people to improve. Right now the best human play 2.25 around. I play 2.25. The Yakushima also play 2.25, right? And I believe that human can reach like 2.0, but I don't think people can reach 1.5, because not because it's limit of the human, but also AI makes mistake, and human can find those mistakes and can avoid it. So as you said, that the judge can be wrong, So yeah. But I don't really know, of course, how wrong it can be. That's one wild guess, But I don't think it's like below 0.5. I think Extreme Gamma makes a few mistakes.
You don't think it's below? Well, you said it was between 0.5 and 1.5, you thought.
Yeah. I said 0.5 to 1.5, right? So I
Yeah,
don't believe
yes.
Extreme Gamma plays
Oh, well,
below
it's not
0.5.
below. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay. It
yeah, yeah,
doesn't.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah. Fair
yeah.
enough. Cool. Yeah, so it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely got some errors. Yeah, no, absolutely. So anyway, this is very technical
Yeah.
territory, so we won't stick on too much. But yeah, it's fascinating because there is this question: if it makes mistakes, one day I'm sure we'll have a much stronger AI. Might be a new XG, might be something else, and then we'll
Mm-hmm.
learn. So we're constantly learning. In
Mm-hmm.
chess, we have these super grandmaster AI. So I'm sure we'll get there in backgammon, and then yeah, we'll be able to learn from it and I guess improve. But as you say, if you have something that's not that's it's strong, but you're almost as strong as it, yeah, it's hard to tell. But what I find fascinating, I guess, is how we, regardless of how strong it is, it may be it may be weaker, it may be stronger. I guess the top players have learned so well to emulate it because they've learned from it and they've
Mm-hmm.
learned to become it. And to a large extent, it's an interesting test. Basically, the PR is seeing how much can you play like XG. That's what it kind of is
Mm-hmm.
testing, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
At the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, and you have like you and Dirk have like you're the best understanding of XG in the world, basically. I guess you
Yeah.
can say.
Yeah. And what's left for human is, by the way, about human factor too. if you could lead your opponent well, right? For example, if you
Yes.
feel that your opponent might drop the cube, you can double. Even though it may not technically a double, you can still double and block him out. Same things could happen in checker play, less of the degree, but that's the kind of ability that human could do. And also you can change your strategy according to the skill level of the opponent, because your opponent is so weak, then you can change to a more complex game, for example. And it doesn't work against stronger opponent, because you are making a small error, to release the game to the complex game. So you have to, sacrifice some equity according to computer. But since your opponent is so weak, that's compensated from his weak play later, right? And things like that cannot do by computer yet. But in the future, we don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
But
possible.
for now, this is what human can do better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, by the way, as a professional player, I'm invited to private games, right? For money, and people challenge me, and what I'm gonna do is not I'm gonna do a like stone cold computer play, right? I just
Yeah.
want him to enjoy it as well. Do you
Yeah.
understand what I mean? So
Yeah.
we make a joke, we enjoy, I take bad cubes sometimes, I give some bad cubes, it's creating more action. So people enjoy it, so that he will invite me again. You know what I mean? That is, one of the things that, as I said, the enjoying, making people like having good time, right? That's what human do in the end,
Absolutely.
right?
So let me just break that down for some of the listeners, but that basically sometimes what the computer says is best might be best if you're playing against a perfect opponent. But as you say, if you're playing someone else, there might be a strategy where sometimes it's better not to do the best thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you were saying, yeah, there are positions in backgammon where you have such a big advantage that you shouldn't double. Doubles when you raise the stakes and you give your opponent the chance to tap out. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're going to win a gammon, which is double the points, where you kind of get all your pieces out before they get a signal, you don't want to give them the chance to tap out. But anyway, again, this is very technical. But sometimes people will take doubles they shouldn't take,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's good. So yeah, perfect play. It's not always about perfect play, but of course, if you're being analyzed, for your PR, you will play perfectly. But as you're saying, if you're playing for fun or a bit of some games on the side, yeah, you can do anything. And yeah, and as you say, it's just trying to be a computer all the time can be a little bit boring, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think
Oh, of
you
course.
yeah, it's like in poker, with game theory optimal, sometimes people try to avoid making decisions, and what they do, there's in certain positions, you're supposed to like bluff, let's say, a third of the time, and then so that
Mm-hmm.
their opponent can't read if they're bluffing, they wear shades, and then they look at their watch and they look at the seconds on the
Mm-hmm.
watch, and if it's like between 0 to 20 seconds, they bluff, and
Yeah,
21 to
yeah, yeah,
29,
yeah.
so like they even try and get rid of decision making, and it's like we can, humans can try and become computer like, we can do all these things, but it's fun to also be human, right?
Yeah.
Um, so, but yeah, that is really fascinating. So the latest big tournament that you won was the high rollers in Monte Carlo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was how much did you win for that?
I think it's about 80,000 officially, but I have some backers, so I don't really get all the money. But yeah, I have, I was good.
You were great. And you've got the UBC, that's considered in many ways, the most impressive tournament. You'll be defending your title uh, in a month or so. Is that right?
Yes, UBC, I'm gonna play the final, I think in 2 months. We haven't decided where the venue is, but we will decide very soon.
And so you're making a lot of money from tournaments. You've said you've got backers for some of these. You also teach, and you have a lot of incredible students.
Yeah, I'm giving a lot of lesson too.
Do you find that teaching sometimes, does it, improve or hurt your backgammon? Because sometimes it's like a different way of, I don't know, looking at things.
Yeah, both ways. It improves the game sometimes because I need to study. Because when you teach something, you have to know better than your student, right? And precisely, and you have to use the language that he can understand. So in this way, of course, it improves my game. But on the other hand, I don't really want to teach right before the big tournament because when you teach in backgammon, your job is make him understand. So you're gonna sacrifice your intuition, or you don't. It doesn't matter what you play, right? So it's not good when it's right before the tournament. So it can go both ways.
Because you're trying to create a very simple narrative, and if you start to think that way, it's not good, basically.
Yeah, I mean, when I play by myself, I have more, complicated way of thinking, maybe, or I have to really focus on the game like this, right? But teaching is very different. I'm gonna use simple stuff, and I'm gonna focus on him, not myself, right? So this is very different.
How much of your thinking is like verbal or intuitive, or I don't know, can you describe like when you're at a tournament how you think?
Well, what I usually do is of course, I have a lot of pattern recognition, so I can nail down maybe two plays, right? Even if it's like a very complicated position. Then if it comes down to two plays, then I will read the numbers for the following rows. What happened if I roll 6-5, what happened if 6-4, 6-3, 6-2. And this is very difficult for most students, so I'm not gonna ask them to do it. It also time consuming too, so I'm not gonna do that all the time, but when I need it, I do. So it's not really complex, but it's more difficult, a more harder way. It's harder.
That's cool. And how do you take, like, I don't know, if you have like really bad luck, right? Whether we believe in luck or not, whatever, times where you play really well, but you could have just a series of really crappy games and tournaments because the
Yeah,
dice just don't
yeah,
come. Like how, because yeah,
yeah.
how do you handle that, like, emotionally?
Yeah. I often, actually, it's it's funny. After I'm playing 20 years of professional players, sometimes I feel like maybe I'm not good. Maybe I'm just not good enough to survive. Then I think about that. Okay, but I have 20 years of experience, and each year I survive. I make money. I make my living from backgammon. So maybe I'm okay. Maybe I know a little bit about backgammon. And of course, extreme gammon helps me. Okay, I definitely play better than my opponent, and I lost. I know I lost again. But still, in the long run, I must win, right? And I win, at the end of the day. But of course, the bad luck can continue, as long as few months, right?
Hmm.
So you need to have a confidence. Obviously, you need the confidence from your past result. Maybe luckily we have extreme gammon line now, so you can build your confidence from the result of extreme gammon as well. Before the bot, you have to build up your confidence by yourself. That's kind of
Yes.
hard, I think.
Very, very. Well, it's interesting because it can be taken both ways. If you lose a game and then the AIXG says you played well, you can obviously you can be happy and say, hey, look, I did the best I can. That's life, right? You keep going, or you could just say, wow, like my luck is just terrible because like here I am, I played so well, but I still lost. What's up?
No, I'm not really emotionally moved by the one single match or anything by luck, because my whole life is a game. So I win some games, I lose some games. My I think overall winning chance is like 62%.
Wow.
If I count all the matches I played in the tournament. Um, I collected data maybe 2 years ago or something. So 62%. So it means I lose nearly 40% of my match.
Yeah. Wow.
So it doesn't matter. But also, extreme gammon doesn't tell you what could have done really, because sometimes maybe you should bluff him out. Maybe you should change your strategy because your opponent's bad. The extreme gammon cannot tell you. and I believe some of professional players are really good. They may not as good in PR wise, but they are pretty good in reading opponent, I believe. And I'm trying to be good at it as well. But it's very difficult because you cannot really trace, you cannot really know the right answer. It's always you have to figure out.
Yeah, absolutely, because you're not going to get good feedback, right, in a way, unless they take like, a double they shouldn't, then you're like, you did the right thing. But often it's hard to know.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
without feedback, we can't learn. That's why, you're so amazing. You're constantly learning, all
But
the
you
time.
get you get a feedback by Extreme Gammon. If you make a bluff double, Extreme Gammon says to you that you you made a bad double. That's Extreme Gammon tells you, right?
Oh, yeah,
But
it's
you have to
bad.
know that
Bad
no, it was a
feedback.
good double because of the opponent. So you have to argue with that, right? So that's kind of tough if you just blindly believe Extreme Gammon and just want to imitate what Extreme Gammon does, then it's pretty hard. But there's a field, there is an area that you have to ignore Extreme Gammon, and you have to follow your intuition and play a code against the opponent, right? But
So,
and again, but you shouldn't overdo it as well. So really difficult.
so how often, can you just, again, a bit technical, but when you're, in terms of your PR, which is when it's the B map, right? When you're
Yeah.
being, when those games count for how your grade is, like, when you're, how many games do you, like, how often is your rating on the line, and how often do you play so your rating is on the line, so you can, do you play, because often I assume you play in serious tournaments without having the rating involved, right?
Yeah, BMAP is you need to declare in advance that you want to count this tournament as a BMAP or not. And I usually count like a serious tournament only, and especially when I go to the tournament with the weak players, I will not count because against weaker players, I have to change my strategy a lot, really a
Mm,
lot. When I play a league match, for example, in Japan, right, and where only the strong players playing in the league match, and I'm very comfortable play almost according to Extreme Gammon. I don't need to change because
yeah.
of the opponent, because my opponent is really strong. Right, but if I go to the tournament in some countries I don't name, but those countries are famous for, you know Backgammon is so popular and so many casual players playing in the tournament, right? Then you have to change your strategy, and that's right strategy according against them, right? So in the tournament like this, it's not a good idea to count a B map because, yeah, obviously, you are penalized by Extreme Gammon.
And at the World Championship in Monte Carlo, I assume you usually want to have the flexibility and won't do it, or
Yeah, I don't count. I did not count because World Championship is very special. Either one side there are so many strong players, but the other side there's so many rich casual fish. They only play World Championship once a year, and they don't even know the rules sometimes.
makes sense.
uh,
And you've won the World Championship, obviously, I should say to everyone who's listening.
yeah,
So even more when luck is on the line, again you've
I won
done.
twice. I won twice too.
That's right. That's right. Which is amazing. Amazing. Now, a point I wanted to kind of also ask is, you've played, as you say, for several decades, and you're a super grandmaster. Do you feel, because how old are you today, if you're willing to share?
45.
45. And do you
45.
feel that you are able to still improve, or you're trying to maintain? I mean, obviously you're learning things all the time, but how does it, because there's this question about, in different games, maybe we have a peak, maybe not. I don't know. Obviously the
Yeah,
AI is a big part. Yeah.
I mean, I believe I'm still improving. I am right now. I'm learning, bear of cube action for 2 months. I am, Art Benjamin invented the new formula to tackle the bear of cube action, and
Well,
I am
can you
studying it.
explain just a little bit to people what that is? Because not people just try in a simple way so they can understand.
Okay, they are always basically the end game, yeah. And the end game can be very complicated, but it can be computed. Like you can calculate it, right? And a lot of backend position cannot be calculated. And end game is also very difficult to calculate, but there is a way. It's very complex formula. I don't recommend anybody to do it except a professional. But recently I, started to study, and I'm doing it. My goal is do all this calculation within 2 minutes. That's really a maximum. And so I'm improving that category, but also there's so many things to run and remember to memorize, and I also forgetting. So that's always a constant race between learning new things and forgetting the old things, and refreshing your memory. And I have much limited time, for my family, for my teaching stuff, for social things. And so I have that much time nowadays. So it's very difficult if I'm to say if I'm really improving or I'm actually downgrading. I don't know, but I'm very positive.
That's great. Art Benjamin, just for those who don't know, is an excellent backgammon player, a mathematician,
Yeah.
and a math magician as well. And he wrote a great book about how to do math calculations in your head, and so as you're saying, he's got this new formula which helps you calculate, I guess, the odds of when you should double, when you're kind of
Hmm.
racing at the end to take off your checkers, the burying off
Right.
stage.
Yeah.
And there have been very simple formulas that are pretty good, like have like a 10% lead, and then when do you take, and you look at certain things. They're very simple things you can do, kind of keeping track of the pip count, which is how much is left. But you can bring it, I guess, to the next level, which is what you're trying to do. Which for most people that's like way overkill.
No,
But
no.
if
I
it
mean the common position. Of course, there is a like much simpler formula, and you can learn in 5 minutes. But ending game, the bear position can be very complex. You can have like lots of wastage, a gap.
yeah.
If you happen to end up in the position like this, a simple formula cannot do anything. And this
Interesting.
way, you have to have like special formula just for the special position. And yeah, I don't want to go too much
Of
details.
course, of course, of course. And you found that learning this XG, obviously, I guess XG is agreeing with the formula, and it seems to
Hmm.
work.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Amazing, very cool. So yeah, so you can always, but yeah, as you say, so as you optimize this end game, uh, who knows, you might be forgetting, or yeah, a little bit something in the background, perhaps, but maybe not. I don't know. I get a lot of it. I guess becomes perhaps like unconscious mastery, so you don't have to think about it. But when it's things where you're just like doing math calculations in your head, you do have to remember all these little things. Have you been in a situation where, I don't know, the last couple of months you tried to remember something and didn't quite remember? Yeah.
Yeah, for example, so a few years ago, I tried to remember all the third row positions. So first row
Wow.
is opening, and second row is response, right? And third
Yeah.
row,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we believe there are like 50,000, different server position or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But of course, most of the like 90% of the like obvious, like
Yeah.
3-1, 3-1, 6-5, you can play, without
Sure.
studying.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, I try to remember all those things by classifying positions, finding patterns and remembering exceptions, right? And but of course you have to refresh your memory time to time. And I get lazy and I didn't do it for a long time, so I'm start losing it, so I gotta do it again before UBC, for example. That's one thing that I know that I'm losing it.
Wow. 50,000 positions, it's a lot to memorize. Even if you only have to, let's say, memorize 10% of them, that's still like
Yeah,
5,000.
right,
Uh,
that's
uh,
right.
and that's like, it's kind of like in Scrabble, they have to memorize the dictionary.
Yeah.
This is part of your playing dictionary, I
Uh-huh.
guess. Uh, so yeah, wow, yeah, that does seem like a lot of hard work. And yeah, as you're constantly feeling things, yeah, you have to refresh. You're absolutely right. So wait, so how much would you say? goes into refreshing and how much goes into learning then?
Running is much more fun, obviously, because you are, finding a new thing, trying in new ways of finding a position, right? And refreshing your memory is boring because you know the stuff that you just try to remember. So I'm basically right now I'm doing one thing that I'm trying to understand and practicing a new ending formula that's more fun. So I'm doing it. But actually, before the tournament, I will go to my secret memo. I'm have written all the numbers that I have to remember, or I have to refresh my reference positions. I have maybe 100 of them. I go through all the positions right before the tournament, usually in the airplane, and it takes like maybe 2 hours to 3 hours. And after that, I'll be ready to play the tournament. So I know all the numbers, I know all the reference positions, and I know, and then I practice a little bit against Extreme Gammon on the plane. And that's how I usually prepare for the tournament.
Cool. Yeah, it sounds like a great routine. Let me ask you, in terms of playing and teaching, like how much of your income, if you're willing to share, comes from each of those?
Oh, I think about same. The money I'm making winning a tournament and winning a private money game against lessons, like money from lessons, right? I think it's like 50-50. It's the same amount of money. But of course, lesson is more stable. You're not going to lose money, right? And it's more productive because your student will be happy. Yeah, it's very productive. And
Yeah.
winning money in a private money game session is maybe not so productive. Usually my opponent is not happy.
Hmm.
And winning a tournament is also, I don't know, it's nice, but of course there's the losers, right?
Hmm.
And but I guess it's like same
So
in
hold on,
the
hold on.
long run. Yeah.
So actually, so it's
like
three
like for
things.
example, this year I won 80,000 in one tournament. So I think I will make more money in winning a tournament. But the other year, I'm losing a tournament.
Yeah.
So I am stable from. I have a stable income from the lesson. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. And you said, and then so but there's also, like, as you say, these cash games that you play as well that aren't lessons.
Hmm.
So is it
Hmm.
about, you're saying it's evenly split between those three then, you would say, or
Nah, cash game is less. Cash game is less.
less? Okay.
Cash game is less. Yeah.
And that's very volatile anyway, obviously.
That's very volatile. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, okay. So yeah, and teaching, as you say, teaching is steady, trustworthy. It's yeah, yeah. How many students do you have at the moment?
At the moment, I guess I have like 5, 6. Yeah.
That's cool. And how often do you usually?
It's online almost all the time. It's a Zoom session. I am teaching maybe twice a week for per student. So I have
Cool.
like 8 sessions per week or something.
Yeah, yeah. That's cool. And are they all very strong?
No, they are basically all week.
Okay, I hope they're not listening. Uh,
No, they are very, very wealthy, and they just want to take a lesson from me. And they are very casual players. I mean, one of them I teach how to play opening roles.
hmm,
I mean, of course, they
sure.
don't need to take lesson from me to learn how to play opening roles. You can just go
Yeah.
to YouTube and you can get it for free. But they just want to take a lesson, so that's good for me. I
Yeah, I mean,
if
hey, it's a treat to get to hang out with the world champ, the best player in the world, and to learn from you. So it makes sense, and if they can afford it, I'm sure they learn a lot from you. Obviously, you
oh
must be a
yeah,
great
yeah,
teacher.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm giving a good time with them too. Um, and I'm very honest. If student comes to me and I ask the price, and he asks the price, and I say my price, and if it's, I also tell that there's the there's many teachers that
Yes.
teach you with less money, and
Yeah.
they're probably better than I do.
But they're not
So
Mochi. So
yeah,
you
they're
know,
not
yeah.
much. Yeah.
And you've also published several books as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
you're, uh, which is another way to get out there. And you make YouTube videos also. So you're
Mm-hmm.
constantly sharing, as you say, people, if they want to have a taste of mochi, they can go to your channel and, and learn from your wisdom for free as well. So there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of great resources out there. It seems like, you love sharing knowledge, basically.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I'm very happy to share my knowledge. Like when people ask me positions, they send me positions all the time. Or when I go to the tournament, people often ask me, "How do you do?"
Hmm.
And I'm happy to share my opinion. And it's fun. Sometimes I screwed up. Sometimes I learn from it.
Of course, of course. And also, I mean, the interesting thing is if you take a position to XG, the AI might tell you what's good, what's bad, but it doesn't know why. It knows
Uh-huh.
perhaps in its own weird way, but you can actually explain perhaps intuitively, here's something you should be thinking about, or you should be priming, or you should be this, or you can give more of an intuition. Um, that's cool. And yeah, I don't know. Are there any like projects like you're really excited about in I don't know in the near future? Any like big goals you'd like to because I know you've won the UBC, which some people say is more important than the World Championship because it takes PR and uh, you've won it how many times now?
So there were 5 UBC finals, and I won 4 of them. I lost one.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's crazy. So that is considered some people say is the most prestigious tournament in the world. Uh,
It's
I know if
nice.
you I don't know if you'll ever get tired of that. Probably not. You probably love it, I guess. But I don't know.
No, I'm not tired of it. It's a very, very challenging tournament because you gotta play the challenges, basically the best players in that year, and you have to train, you have to practice, you have to be in a good shape, and still there's some luck involved, right? So you'll never be sure that you want to win, and that motivates me, and that gives me more incentive to study. Because I don't want to lose the title. So I'm not. I'm. It's time consuming. Like I spend like a month or two just to win one match. I mean, one title, and prize money is almost nothing. Like really nothing.
What is the prize money?
That's zero. Yeah, you get the
Oh,
Backgammon
really
bonus.
zero.
That's it. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So it's all about bragging rights. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
but also the Backgammon Galaxy streams the final. There are like 10 matches or 12 matches in the final, and it's viewed by many. I think it's most viewed match except the final of the Monte Carlo. So you don't want to embarrass yourself, obviously. And this would lead to my future income too, because people watch the games and people contact me and take a lesson or a money game, whatever. So it's always nice. So that's like hidden prize money, but the direct prize money it's zero.
Yeah, that's right. That's very interesting. Um, yeah, and it sounds like 4 out of 5. I mean, that's already it's amazing, and I hope you're able to stay king of the hill for for as long as possible. And you were knocked off and came back, right? Because was it
Yeah.
last
hmm
year you had to
I
go
lost
through?
in 2022 and I came back in 2023.
Yeah, you won the candidates, and then win against the champion. It's amazing.
hmm
Okay, so what are I guess like some of the goals? I mean, what would you like to kind of do? Is there more books you want to publish, or are you just I don't know? Are you living kind of? I mean, it sounds like you're living the life you want to live, but are there any projects or kind of things on the wish list? I guess.
Yeah. Several things that I'm working at. Um, for example, I'm working AI project that is creating the AI that speaks the reason of the play. Like as you said, right now, Gammon doesn't tell you why A plays better than B. So a group of people are trying to build up the Extreme Gammon. Sorry, not Extreme Gammon, but a bot. Not only telling you the best play, but also gives a reason. It's not there yet, but we have a prototype, and they explain something. It's not perfect, but it works for, let's say, most intermediate players or most beginners. Because beginners doesn't need complicated explanations. They just want to know like simple answers. You have to stay back because you are down in the race, for example.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very excited because that is open the door for many people to improve the game. And I think, I want to promote backgammon in general, not just improving myself or winning money or winning a glory, but also backgammon should be more popular in general, and the backgammon players, especially strong players, should be respected as well. Like if you win a world champion of chess, you're gonna be in a newspaper for sure, right? But right now, the backgammon players, I'm not sure the current world champion, he is Swedish. I don't know if he's in newspaper over Sweden. And that shouldn't be like this. Backgammon is a great game. I also are working on a school project in Japan that backgammon is taught in school. We started in one school, elementary school, and we are working on a second school, and we hope to get extended to several schools. Denmark, it's already happening. Like one backgammon player who happened to be a teacher, he expanded in backgammon in the school. Now he hold a tournament of 500 children. That's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. I'm also a board member of World Backgammon Federation, and we are trying to expand the backgammon as what do you say? Not the gambling,
skill-based.
Skill-based. Backgammon should be treated as like a chess, and get sponsorship. We want to have a tournament, not only 500 people. We want to have a tournament for 3,000 players, for example. That's a goal.
Like the World Series of Poker.
Yeah, kind of.
But yeah, so a lot to unpack. First of all, the AI thing, that sounds very exciting, with language and the initiative, the school initiative, just like they have initiatives with chess. That sounds great. But as for making backgammon more popular, I mean, you're a great ambassador, and it's true that the chess gets tremendous prestige. It was kind of like the game of the Cold War also. When Fischer beat Spassky, that was like a huge thing that really, really pushed chess. And backgammon, you're right. I mean, people sometimes, they think of it as just a luck-based game, but there is a tremendous amount of skill. And now with AI, we can actually see the skill in a very transparent way. But yeah, it is a strange thing. I mean, a lot of players out there, when they play backgammon, they don't know that there's even a thing as like a doubling cube. Which, for those who are listening, if you play backgammon, you should learn about the doubling cube and try it, because that's what makes also part of the game so great. But yeah, it's weird. It's interesting to compare it to chess, because I came from a chess background. I play a lot of games, and I think chess is a great game, but it's also, in many ways, I think backgammon's a really great game too, and they're opposites, because there is luck. But then again, you have to learn how to make the most of your luck, and maybe take things a little bit less seriously as well. Chess players are are really their rating is like so tied to their ego. And anyway, it's very interesting. But yeah, I mean, I guess backgammon was very big apparently in the 20s and the 70s, right? That was those are some big decades. And I think backgammon could have a renaissance. I mean, I think it's a great game for anyone. That's what's beautiful about it, right? Like it's easy to learn, and then couples can play it. Even if you have a much stronger player, they can still enjoy playing against a weaker player, and vice versa, right?
Of course, yeah. That's the beauty of the game. And that's also one of the reasons that I believe that it's good for the school, because the school chess in the school, it could create some hierarchy. Like one good players in the class, he beats everyone all the time, right?
Yeah.
And the one who is not good at chess, he will be beaten by every time, right? So it's not fun, right? But
Yeah.
chess or not, so backgammon can be played against strong players or against weak players, and still can be unpredictable what's gonna happen. You know, in the long run, of course, strong players can win, but in the short time, obviously anybody can have a chance. That's great.
Yeah.
So it could be like a great social game, and I can't imagine like chess players, talking too much over the game. But backend player always talk, enjoy the joking and having fun with the jokers or anti-jokers. That is once again we gotta go back to the main theme, as that how AI changed our social life, and backgammon can be adapted in the social life, even when AI dictate our life. That backgammon can be survived, I guess, because not only winning or losing, you can also enjoy the process pretty much, I believe.
Yeah, and learning from every position, real learning. Yeah, no, I agree. And yes, you're right about chess. I mean, you do get some trash talking with like super fast splits games at Washington Square, let's say, but in general, yeah,
Uh-huh.
you can't talk. And in fact, in a chess tournament, they're so anal that if your phone rings, sometimes you'll
You
just get an
lose.
automatic loss. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I know,
you
I
know,
know.
whereas backgammon, it's all cool. Even at the World Championship, if you say, "Hey, I really need to go to the bathroom," you can take a break and go to the bathroom. Stop the clock, right? Uh,
That's,
and
yeah,
do that. Obviously,
yeah.
between games, obviously, but not with a position. But still, like it's much more relaxed and yeah, in that sense, a lot more can be a lot more fun, a lot more cool. But it can also be much crueler because like you could be winning and doing so well, and then you know, yeah, and then the dice don't come, and it's so yeah, so it's a very strange it's a very strange but also incredible game. um yeah, oh, that's cool. Well, I first of all, I think you're doing a tremendous job at helping bring backgammon to the masses, and this is something I also want to help and encourage, because I do believe that backgammon, is a great game, and I think it is something that kids should learn in school. And I would like to think that there will be an uptick in the number of people, and then hopefully not only will you see more people playing, but I would like to also see, as you say, that people also recognize more, the skill of backgammon players like yourselves who have devoted their lives and achieved, extraordinary, results, basically.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that how deep backgammon can be, because on the surface it is a dice game, and it is a dice game, and it looks like everything is decided by the dice. And if I teach beginners, he beats me like 1 in 3 games, but it is
But but they,
very,
but, but they
very
don't
deep.
but they don't beat your PR, in those
No,
games.
no, 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 no. It's all it's all perspective. So chess is regarded of the game of intelligence, but backgammon can be game of social, and that's fine too, But backgammon and backgammon players should be respected as well. It's people spend a lot of time studying a game, and it's rewarded. Not as much as chess, maybe, but there's a lot of wisdom from backgammon too.
What are some? Is there any wisdom you could teach us about life that you've learned from
Ah,
backgammon?
ha, 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 ha. Okay. I don't know if it's a good one, but one stupid one. But if you make so let's say you're upset, whatever happened to your life, right? But if you make another blunder after blunder, it doesn't delete the first blunder. Yeah, you know what I mean? And so this is what I learned from backgammon. You're upset with past mistake, but making a new mistake doesn't help you.
So you
And
need to you need to move on. You need to kind of accept, not be too hard on yourself, and try and go to the next
It's a
next
new
stage,
game,
basically.
right? It's always a new game. It's very important for me, as in the first decade I was a gambler, right? And so if you have a bad day, and if you play bad just because you have a bad day, you're losing more, and it's going like a worst circle, right? You have to set your
Yeah,
mentality like every game is a new game, new decision, past life. Or if you're down 64 points in the score, it doesn't matter. You still have to make a right decision, and because dice doesn't care, your opponent doesn't care, right? And it can be applied in life as well. You're upset, you're unhappy, but drinking a beer doesn't help you.
that's true. Oh, this was another interesting question. Do you find that drinking alcohol, does it have a big effect on your playing ability or not?
Yeah, pretty much. But I like to drink.
Okay.
I like to drink a lot. But when in the tournament, I try not to drink because you never know. Sometimes you get a phone call to play backgammon. You may have an action at the night. You don't know. So I try not to drink too much.
You stay
But at
fresh.
home, I drink. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Um, no, that's cool. That's really cool. And what about sports in terms of taking care of your body? Do you do any exercise or anything, or something to kind of do
I
really
mean,
like?
I go to gym, and I play with my kid, in the park, and that's all I do. I don't really do tennis. I don't really do jogging or
What do you do in the gym?
anything.
What do you
Well,
like to do in the
I'm
gym?
running. I'm running on the bicycle.
Okay, running and cycling. Okay, so no
Yeah,
weights or anything like that, just more cardio.
yeah. Not really.
Oh, that's cool. Because yeah, I mean, look, when you're playing at UBC or the World Championship, you have to have incredible stamina, right? You have to
Hmm.
be able to your body. Sometimes you're
Yeah,
playing, I don't know, like 10 hours a day or something. No, right?
yeah, yeah. For some reason, I have much mental stamina. I don't know. It just comes with me.
Well,
But
it's
maybe,
it's amazing. That's what people say is like, like a lot of people can play, really well. Even the top, the grandmasters,
yeah.
they can play like a super grandmaster for a little bit, but then
Uh-huh.
but then they make mistakes. It's hard for them to keep that stamina, that concentration for hours and hours.
Yeah, yeah. I know. But for me, that is not a problem. I can focus for long hours. I don't know why, but it just is. I'm not sure if it's like this forever.
Hmm.
Maybe because of the age, it comes down at some point. But for now, it's not a big problem for me.
And sleep, how important is sleep?
Yeah, I like to sleep. I sleep a lot, and I also sleep in the daytime too, like after the
Really?
lunch. Yeah,
Wow. So you
yeah.
take naps.
I take naps. Yeah, I take naps all the time. So my kids taking my picture of taking a nap.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, some people
Yeah.
say that also napping and is very good for learning as well. I don't know
I
if
think
that.
napping is very good for your brain.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I hope you keep improving and yeah, and keep having that stamina. And I think what you're doing is just absolutely phenomenal, Mochi. And yeah, I'm grateful for the time that you shared with us today.
Thank you, Ethan. It was great.
Cool. So I'm just stopping it.